Hello and welcome to the second SDA tutorial lesson. In the first lesson we learned how to make one variable and cross tabulations, and we will now continue to explore some more functions in SDA. At the end of this short lesson you will be able to answer questions such as: how did the perception of the most important issues facing Armenia, Azerbaijan and Georgia differ between different age groups? Or is there a difference in women's perception of trust in the president in Armenia, Azerbaijan and Georgia? In other words, you will be able to fully use the rich information available in SDA. So, in the previous lesson we used a row variable and a column variable. We will now add a selection filter variable. Because let's say that we are interested in women's interest in international politics in the three countries. So we choose our variable interest in international politics as our row variable, and as we did last time we specify country as our column variable, as we would like to have the results separated by country. And now we're also only interested in the female respondents. So we add the respondent sex as our filter variable. And by clicking the View button, we see that the code for female respondents is 2. So we add a 2 in the brackets in the selection filter field. And as last time, we would use the individual weight for this variable, as it is a question asked to an individual respondent and not to the whole household. And for table options, we keep percentaging in column, as we would like to have the results separated by each country. And that is all we need to do, and then run the table. We are now presented with the frequencies and percentages for only the female respondents. So we can see that in Armenia, the majority of the women would say that they are not at all interested in international politics, and the same goes for Azerbaijan. But in Georgia, 37.4% would say that they are hardly interested. And if we scroll down, we're presented with the same information in our stacked bar chart, presented separately country by country. At the very end of the list, in the allocation of cases boxes, we see that this analysis was based on 3,347 respondents. We also see that 4,327 cases were excluded by filter or weight. So that they were excluded by filter means that these are non-female respondents, that is male respondents. And just if you happen to be wondering about this number, 43, these are cases with invalid codes, so they were also excluded from the analysis. To take another example, let's say we're interested in knowing the respondents' interest in international politics, but only among people that have not completed a secondary education. So return to the main window. And instead of using gender as our selection filter variable, we would use the respondent's level of education. And by clicking the View button, we see that codes 1, 2, 3 specify respondents that have not completed a secondary education. So we add education as our filter variable, and in the brackets we write 1, 2, 3, and we run the table. And again, we see that in Armenia, the majority of the respondents that have not completed a secondary education would say that they are not at all interested in international politics. The same goes for Azerbaijan, but again in Georgia, the majority of respondents that have not completed a secondary education would say that they are hardly interested. So let's now close this window and return to the main window and add yet another variable, a so-called control variable. And a control variable is used to generate a special cross-tabulation for each category of the controlled variable. So, for example, instead of limiting the results to just women by using the selection filter we just did, we can run a separate table for women and men by using gender as our control variable. So we take away our selection filter. We add respondent sex as our control variable, and we run the table. So we are now presented with the same information separately. So here first we have the male respondents, and here we have the female respondents. So we can easily compare the answers between the male and the female respondents. And we can easily do the same thing with the level of education variable. Click the level of education, add it as our control variable, and run the table. So we are now presented with a long list of answers. So first we have the respondents with no primary education, then we have the primary education, completed or incompleted, the incomplete secondary education, etc., etc. It's really just as simple as this. We hope you found this lesson useful, and now you're ready to get started and explore the wide variety of data yourself. Thank you for watching.